This is the Franchise Consultant Podcast. Each Monday, we release a new episode hosted by Adam Goldman. Adam has over 10 years of franchising experience, and he's worked hard to realize his dreams by being his own boss. His experience will help you to become a better business owner and franchisee so that you can live your best life and control your destiny. This is the Franchise Consultant Podcast, and this is Adam Goldman.
Welcome to the Franchise Consultant Podcast. This is your host, Adam Goldman. I'm very, very excited. I have Jane Crisler here today. But first, I wanted to just talk a little bit about what's going on. One of the things that I'm finding out about in franchising right now is there's really a shift with unemployment going higher. I'm finding out that there are a lot of people that otherwise weren't interested in franchising. They're actually now very interested in franchising, whereas those people that were looking for executive type franchises, that still exists, but I'm finding that there are a lot more people that are potentially interested in owner-operator franchises. I'm finding specific industries like energy as being something that's very, very popular right now, with oil being about $20 per barrel. And so just finding shifts. I'm finding also when it comes to retail space that the rents are going down, which makes it potentially a good time to become a franchisee. And I'm also finding, unlike other crises like in 2008, where there really wasn't any money available, I'm finding out that there is a lot of money and a lot of loans available for SBA and for, in general, for franchisees at very, very low rates. I'm so excited to be talking to a good friend, Jane Crisler, today. Jane is the founder of The Human Chase, and she specializes in helping people that are in career transition. And she has a really, really interesting background and experience. Jane, I didn't realize that you were a restaurant owner.
Yeah, well, it was a high-end catering business.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was. We did that in Silicon Valley, and we fed companies like NVIDIA and Bausch and Lomb and the San Francisco 49ers. And so our kitchen could prepare up to 1,500 meals and ration, sometimes happy hour on Friday afternoon with lots of tequila and salsa. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. That's great. Well, tell our audience more about The Human Chase.
The Human Chase was founded in Silicon Valley. I had been with a corporation doing human resources for a long time. And the corporate division that I was in corporate human resources was eliminated. And so I had built some great relationships with hiring managers in the organization. And after the layoff, then I started my business as a recruiting concern. And businesses and individuals I knew that had moved to other organizations hired me as a stabilizer for their organization. I had came in and helped hire people and made sure that they had the right fit. And it was very enjoyable. So I had several clients, and I was in different places, different offices every other day or so. And then when I moved to Texas, I started it as a coaching concern. And I work with individuals to help them make more money and get better jobs. And it's been career transitions. So I help them with resume, LinkedIn, marketing plans, how to target your company, the company you want to go to work for, how to interview and how to negotiate. Last year, I helped 2 people get more money from their original offer. One got $30,000 more and one got $40,000 more.
That's great. And I saw an amazing LinkedIn post that you put in a couple weeks ago about your own challenges during a time of crisis. And you could share that for our audience. I thought that was cool.
Yes. Well, I think there were 2 stories. One of the quotes was, "The best time for fishing is when the waters are cloudy. You never know what's underneath all this murkiness that we have right now." But the other story is when my husband and my 3 boys were living in Santa Clara. My husband decided to go to the California Culinary Academy, and it was a 16-month program. And we went from a $90,000 income to $15,000 in taxable income. The good news was we only had to pay for haircuts and shoes for the boys during that time. They didn't get any bigger, so we didn't have to worry too much about clothes. But in anticipation of that time of paucity, we bought a freezer. We bought a meat package that had a quarter side of beef. It included chickens and sausage and pork and bacon, all kinds of stuff. We grew a garden with corn and tomatoes that we canned with our own basil. We canned marmalade with mandarin oranges on the tree out in front of our home. And it was very lean. We went to Costco, and we bought 25 pounds of flour and sugar and salt and all kinds of stuff. So we knew that we weren't going to have a dime left over to help with anything. And but we look at it as a time of pride, because we did our very best with very, very little. And we remember making this salsa with our own fresh tomatoes, which were phenomenal. And we just stand there around the counter with chips and go, one more bite, one more bite, one more bite. We would think we were going to stop, but it tasted so good we couldn't stop eating. And then my boys, were all required to cook a meal every week, and they had their own chores. We had a chore board, and they would make a list of the ingredients that they needed from the grocery store, and they'd say, okay, here's my list. This is what I need for my meal. And so with supervision and recipes that they were, interested in, they all learned how to cook. And I said to them at the time, this will make you good husbands. And they are. They do most of the cooking in their own homes with their wives and families now, but they're teaching their children how to cook, and that is really rewarding on my end.
I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Personal story. You're on the front lines with this crisis and with hiring and with careers. What are you finding right now that's going on in the marketplace?
Well, let's see. I'm doing pro bono for a couple of people right now. One who's been looking for a couple of years, and he's having trouble because people don't see the year 2019 or 2020 as being a time when he was employed. We worked together to streamline his really lengthy resume, and we're strategizing on who to approach. In fact, one of the things, the strategy component is, he's told me companies he wants to go to work for, and I've reached out to I gave him a list of about a dozen people at those different companies that we could approach. And I'm meeting with him today. He'll be telling me, I've asked him to go ahead and look at those profiles and tell me who would be good for me to connect him with. And so I'll talk to him more about that. I also have another candidate who has been in a job for 17 years, but in the last year, his supervisor has been nothing but difficult to work with. So he's on the fence as to if he should stay and endure the pain, or if he should go, or what he should do. So that's always a challenging conversation, because people don't necessarily want to leave a job, but I don't think it's healthy to stay in a job where you are, abused. So even in this particular example, despite his stability in his work, he's struggling to just let it go, especially in this time of the virus. So when I'll be having a follow-up meeting with him on today, I'm also working with someone by the name of Anna McKay, and she started this group called Parents Pivot. It's for women who've been staying home and now they want to get back into work. And so we're having a program next week on negotiating. And she said some of her clients are saying, well, I'm not ready to talk about negotiating yet. And I said, you have to be ready to talk about negotiating now, because when the call comes to you, the first question is, how much money were you making, or how much money are you looking for? And so it's not like you get the chance to interview and have long conversations and talk about fit or chemistry. They're talking about the bottom line. Anecdotally, I reached out to several people I know on LinkedIn this week to see what's happening in the virus / hiring market. And it's kind of slow, but one individual suggested that many companies will be hiring or rehiring from within as they start to grow, get back into business. And that's a great idea because it builds morale.
Great. And tell me, if I was someone that's at home right now, maybe I've been furloughed, maybe I've been laid off, what can I do to make sure that I'm not getting stir crazy?
So are you talking about just maintaining your mental health at home, or are you talking about what should you do to make sure that businesses know that you're still available?
Everything in general. I'm at home. I've been laid off. I might have been a contractor in energy, and I'm just I don't have much time on my hands. I have all the time in the world on my hands. I'm just not sure what I should do that would be productive right now.
Well, if you know that you are and want to go back to work, I recommend you keep looking at job boards. You keep your LinkedIn profile ready. You have your resume current and up to date in the best way possible. Because if you stop looking, someone else is going to be out there that's continuing to look and may get the job you want. So anything you can do to keep yourself current in the marketplace, despite the fact that we can't get in our cars and drive up and down the freeways, is important. If there's some seminars you can take, certifications you can take, anything that shows that you're either giving back or gaining extra knowledge during this time continues to help you look valuable and that you have utilized this time to the best of your ability. At the same time, taking a break is fabulous. Everybody needs refreshment right now, quiet time in the sun. 20 minutes in the sun every day can help your mood. I know people are walking. I know the pool where I live is out of service right now. So there seem to be some limitations on what we can do physically, but anything you can do, even there was an article in the New York Times yesterday about a woman that was looking at exercise videos from the 80s with Jane Fonda. And that's how those exercises got started, was all a video. And so thinking about how you can exercise to a video, old one or a new one, can also invigorate your spirits.
So you mentioned a lot that you work a lot in the energy industry. We're both in Houston. What is, just from your anecdotally, what do you see the future for the industry, both short term, the next couple of months, and maybe 6 months to a year from now?
Wow. So that's asking me what's going to happen to hiring in the oil industry in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yes.
Well, the challenging part right now is A, there's a glut of oil. B, there's no place to store the oil. I know the Saudis are trying to figure out what they're going to do with what they have. The price of Canadian oil last week was $5 a barrel. Houston, I think we're in the $20 range. I saw a compression when the market in 2014, 15, 16 here in Houston, where businesses laid off thousands of them, oil and gas employees around the globe. And it was a shock to lots of people that had been in the industry for 10, 20, 30, 35 years. Many of them decided to rejigger themselves, reposition themselves, and do something else and become more of an entrepreneur. People bought franchises. People started businesses. And I think that people need to be very creative about how they look at how they want the rest of their work life to look. Oil and gas is typically unpredictable. And some people like it because of the upturns and downturns, mostly because they get pretty good money during that time. But what we don't know is if oil and gas will start to reduce salaries or so I just think people need to be open to all of their options, continuing education, look for different options in terms of how you want to work. The option for virtual or remote work. A lot of parents now are teaching their children from home. Maybe they discovered that they like to teach or they like to train. And this could be a new venue for them as they re-enter the workforce. And so I think being creative and positive and finding different ways to integrate into the new market, however it looks, is the most positive way to move ahead.
Some people are saying that the future of work is now forever different, that there's going to be a lot more virtual workplaces and it's going to be harder for some people to distinguish themselves. Now all you need is a computer and you're competing with everyone else in the world, even in Eastern Europe or in India. How do you see the future of work after the coronavirus?
Well, I was thinking about that yesterday. I think remote work will be a larger part of business. And in many ways, that's so helpful for many, many people. There are some people that love it and they don't have to get on the freeway or worry about their wardrobes. And so it can be a good thing. There are other people that do not like being at home. They need the connection of other individuals in the workplace. But I was thinking yesterday that businesses need to come back because people still need services and product. And they still want to get up and out of the house and go not just to the grocery store anymore, which is becoming very boring, but the human need for connection is not going to die with this virus. I think things will slowly resume, and we may need to make every effort to make sure we're ready. Today, I was thinking about how I recommend people have transitional business cards. And so not only does your resume and LinkedIn need to be ready, but you need to have a business card, because the minute you get up and can get up and out of the house and go to any kind of meeting, you must have a business card, especially now, so people will remember you. There could be a big burgeon of people attending events, and you need something to leave behind.
I like that idea, a transitional business card. That's great. I've never heard of that before.
Oh, thanks.
And so I want to touch again. You talked a little bit about self-care. You talked about walking outside for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Could you expand upon that? Just talk about ways people can just kind of keep themselves sane and during this difficult time.
Sure. It's proven that 20 minutes of sunshine can really elevate your mood. And I know from my days in California, I used to wake up in the morning, open the window, the drapes, and go, "What's the weather like today?" "Oh, it's another sunny day in California." And immediately my mood elevated. And from my days in Texas before that, it was like, okay, it's a gray day. You know, it affected my mood, but the sun is really a dramatic, healthy thing for us to consider. As I said, exercising. Also, talking to your friends. I mean, now we have time to talk on the phone with friends or acquaintances, and I think that is useful because we're all probably finding the same kind of experience. And other things that can help people's refresh my memory, Adam.
Just looking for the inner game, right? Things that could help someone to just kind of get through this. Yes, they want to be better on the other side, but sometimes people get down in a situation like this.
They do. We do. I do. And one of the things I'm doing is in the morning, I like to write. And so I got Easter cards, and every morning now, this week I wrote Easter cards and sent them off. I have a sympathy card I need to send off. And I've been trying to do that all in the morning before 9 o'clock so I get my correspondence, old-fashioned correspondence, out of the way so I can do some other things. So reaching out and talking to people by phone or by Zoom or any other way can help us feel less alone in our lives right now. I know people that live alone, they seem to be doing okay. And I know some of them are still getting in their car and just driving around just because they need to get out of the house. And also, if you like to play games, I think that's a great thing because that keeps your mind sharp. One of the games my husband and some of our friends like to play is called Rummy Cube. And it's a game of strategy and numbers. I am not a mathematician, but it keeps my brain active. And so anything you can do. I know also my sister sells puzzles to the museum and other places like that. And she says the 500-piece and 1,000-piece puzzles are being sold more rapidly than they have been in the past. It's almost like Christmas season because of the puzzles that are being sold. In fact, there's a puzzle manufacturer in our country that has had to recreate and redesign even more puzzles and in order to keep up with the demand.
Wow.
Yeah. So walking, sunshine, talking to people, writing to people, keeping yourself connected, even buying something interesting at the grocery store, which you may never have allowed yourself to buy before. Like this week, I bought marzipan, and that's an almond paste that makes a cookie. It's pretty popular in Norway. So I'm going, okay, well, now I have the time to experiment. Some people may have noticed there's no flour on the shelves in the grocery store because now people are baking bread. And so at my market, no flour, no yeast.
No baking soda.
No baking soda. Now, at my house, we're really lucky because my husband's a chef, so we always have a remarkable pantry. And, if it weren't for having to buy produce every week, we would be just fine. So in taking time to be creative in the kitchen and try things that maybe, for example, my sister is not a cook, but she's been beginning to make a few things that are easy, and she's really happy with the results.
Wow. Well, I always like my guests to have the opportunity to talk about how someone could reach them if they're interested in their services. If you could just let people know how to get a hold of you, either by email or by phone or your website.
Sure. My name is Jane Crisler, and I own The Human Chase. I help people get better jobs and make more money. I call myself a career strategist. And even in dark and different times, people still needed to be talking about what they do now and how they want the future to look. So you can reach me at 713-854-0995 or email me at jcrisler@humanchase.com, Crisler. And I'm on LinkedIn. So look at my profile, connect with me. Let's set up a time to chat. I'm really interested in hearing anecdotal stories about what other people are going through and how they're surviving. And I'd welcome our time together.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Jane, and stay safe.
You're welcome, Adam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Franchise Consultant Podcast. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us a rating, and leave a comment on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Explore great resources on our website, franchisecoach.net. And if you'd like more content regularly, follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook. And hey, be sure to listen next time so you're able to realize your dreams.